Okay, so that you had in common, and
Okay, and what not?
music-wise, I mean.
Well, okay, yeah, not the size, because he's that tall. Music-wise, well, I mean, he started DJing for school parties when he was still at school, and then did some, yeah, like he played sets at like disco and funk parties as well. And I started like privately DJing hip hop very long time ago, and then yeah, when like my first public set was house then as well. So he came from a more like a party side, and I was more into like this, well, deeper like house and garage nightlife thing. I don't know if you know what I mean. So I was a bit more serious maybe, even if I'm always very silly as well. So yeah, that's what Easy still delivers to the project. Like, just don't think about everything too much. Just do it. And that's really important for the project as well.
And do you know what was the first track you laid down together?
No,
You don't know?
don't remember that.
No? So is it? How do you normally work? Do you know?
In the studio.
Yeah.
Usually it's like like me having loads of creative output, melodies, and I'm also more technical than him because yeah, he doesn't like technical stuff really. I grew up with loads of computers and all that stuff because my dad always used to work for big computer companies. So for example, one day he came with a thing like this big and said, "This is a laptop." It was like beginning of the 90s or something, or late 80s.
So they say you need to have this lamp.
It was really that big, and the screen was half of it, so it was still like, it was more like a desktop computer or something. And so yeah, I also like program all the gear then, and Easy channelizes all the output and is more like the director and says, yeah, no, let's cancel this or let's do something else, and so it's quite complementary in the studio, which is good because otherwise I think we'd argue a lot.
So now no arguments between the two of you.
Well, sometimes, but just about like routine stuff, like your toothbrush is not, you know, like a married couple or something.
Well, I think it's an obvious question, but do you know when you came up, or who came up with the name Digitalism?
That was actually, well, when we started doing some edits at home, we just needed something to write onto the CDRs. And at that time there was a vinyl series out on Yellow Recordings called Africanism, and we liked, yeah, like using an ism word sounded quite big, and as we were only using a computer, we felt quite digital, so that's why we wrote Digitalism onto the CDRs. And then a few years later, when we had to release a vinyl and we were looking for a name, we just remembered that one, and now the whole profile around this name and our band as well makes kind of sense now. So at the beginning we didn't really think about, okay, it should be about digital future, whatever stuff. So it was just, it's from the stomach, you know.